India formally has taken over the G20 presidency. Prime Minister Modi has laid out an inclusive, action-oriented agenda rather. One Earth, One Family, One Future. That's India's G20 mantra. Meanwhile, External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar is interacting virtually with students of 75 institutions. Let's dip in now and listen in to what he's saying.
Most of all, our digital prowess and its effective application on the ground, that has really caught the world's attention. While noting all these developments, let me address some specific issues that are likely to come up in the G20 context. As a civilizational state, it was imperative that India is not only conscious of its heritage and culture, but brings those perspectives to bear on contemporary issues. As we currently consider the challenges of climate action, it is natural that we reassert our innate reverence for nature and search for solutions that are not just material but also behavioral. We would seek to encourage a rethink around the world, both on how we produce, but equally important on how we consume. Green transition at scale is possible only when climate action is converted into a people's movement. During our G20 presidency, we will spotlight life as in lifestyle for environment, with its associated environmentally sustainable and responsible choices at the level of individual lifestyles as well as national development. Only then will it lead to globally transformative actions, resulting in a cleaner, greener, and bluer future. We will make life a global movement, one that envisions placing the prevalent use and dispose economy with a circular economy. It intends to nudge individuals to undertake simple acts in their everyday life that can contribute to effectively address the challenges of climate change, environment degradation, energy crisis, and rapid sustainable growth. Pro-planet people adopting fundamentally sustainable lifestyles will change the way we do business in the 21st century. India will seek to be a catalyst of that change. When taking over the G20 presidency in Bali, Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke about a sense of trusteeship. We want that message also to go out from the G20, that for the sake of future generations, for people like you, every generation should leave the planet in a better shape than it inherited it. After due deliberation, we have therefore taken up Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or One Earth, One Family, One Future, as our G20 presidency theme. Drawing from our cultural ethos, this is a strong assertion of beliefs in shared and common solutions. It may apply to climate action and life, where the power of example, the diffusion of technology, and the spread of best practices can make a decisive difference. The same drivers are even more powerful when it comes to digital delivery, in order to ensure that we leave no one behind. And remember, we have demonstrated it even at a time of extreme stress by undertaking successfully Vaccine Maitri. The G20 is a diverse platform that seeks to forge common ground on key issues among prominent countries. Our endeavor is to make that consensus more relevant through a wider process of consultation. Indeed, our very choice of guest countries is reflective of this intent. Harmonizing various interests is something that is ingrained deeply in India's history and culture. We have long been a pluralistic and consultative society who have debated issues openly before we arrive at a decision. Since this is deeply ingrained in our DNA, we have never been insecure with diversity. Our essential unity is not only the basis for pluralism, but it is also a source of confidence for engaging the world. As the mother of democracy, India's G20 presidency will be consultative, it will be collaborative, and it will be decisive. Having noted that, we must also recognize that the global order today is not truly reflective of the state of the world. Institutions and practices created 75 years ago still dominate global decision-making. A representative and democratic international order must press for change, not just in the United Nations, but in other international institutions as well. While we strive to progress on this broad agenda of issues, the G20 cannot be impervious to immediate developments that have a direct consequence on global well-being. This year, much of that debate has centered around the Ukraine conflict. As you all know, the Prime Minister had declared that this is not an era of war, and that dialogue and diplomacy alone can provide solutions. At Bali, the significance of this position was widely recognized by G20 leaders. In fact, the universality of this message is being appreciated as well. Many of you today would have read in the newspapers that you would have seen in the morning or read on your phones, Prime Minister's own thoughts about assuming the G20 presidency. And that, by the way, has appeared in newspapers across the world. Now, we should reflect.
So India's formally taken over the G20 presidency today, and India is also taking over the presidency of the United Nations Security Council for the month of December. This is the final month of India's 2-year stint as a non-permanent member in the Security Council.